allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes of the December 18th meeting have been distributed. Do I have a motion for approval?
I'll make the motion.
Can I make a correction to that?
It's not that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
This is the January 8th organizational meeting.
gotcha. Just a test.
Okay.
So wait, Charlie made the motion, who seconded it?
Who seconded the motion?
Mike had his hand up.
Yeah, Mike, yeah, okay. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The minutes of the December 28th year-end special meeting minutes have been distributed. Is there a motion to approve?
Is that the one that was the question?
No?
I don't have it in front of me, so.
Organization. That's the organization.
Okay.
Okay. So did we have a motion for that?
Yes.
Charlie and Mike.
Charlie and Mike.
And a second with, who gave the second on that one?
I did.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The minutes of the January 8th organizational meeting minutes, I think that Mike has.
No. Yes, I'd like to make a motion to change on the first page there, where Diane made a motion to appoint Luke as caretaker with a provisional for a salary budget at $36,764 to be adjusted hourly, and as approved. Mark Harrison seconded. I'd like to have that removed, remake the motion. I'll make the motion for the same dollar value for Luke. If we could have somebody else second it besides Mark.
I'll second.
And the reason for that is because it's family member.
I had you down as, you actually seconded it on my sheet.
What's that?
I had it on, that you seconded that on my sheet here,
I
so.
have more.
Well, in the minutes it says
Yeah, Mark.
Mark, so let's get it corrected.
Let's get the tape.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So that takes care of all the minutes. Treasurer's report, Bill.
Okay, well, tonight will go a little quicker because I left the codes report, I didn't bring it.
I was gonna say, where?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no change in the codes report from our organization meeting, except tonight we have 2 vouchers from codes. And that doesn't affect the numbers yet. We have 38 district vouchers tonight, 2 codes, 4 credit cards, and 1 overtime. And if you look now, this is a thicker report tonight, 18 pages for our end of the year, this is. On the first page at the top, those are the assets as of December 31st. And I need to do that, so I have those figures for when I do the AFD, the state report. At the bottom are tonight's vouchers, the liabilities. Page 2 and 3 shows for the entire year what we did with the budget. And one thing I need to note here is on page 2, 3/4 of the way down, I've added a line that says permissive reserve expenses. There's $186,000. That's because I need that there for the state report. They want all of the expenses on one report. So these papers I use to complete my state report. Normally, that wouldn't be in our monthly report.
Is this on page?
Page 2.
And how far
Under the 3410
Oh, I see it, permissive reserve expense.
expenses, 186,164.
Okay.
Okay. Normally, that's not in our monthly report. 4 and 5 is the previous year comparison, and on that one, you won't see the permissive referendum. 6 is the service award account. That's the next thing to take note. On our last meeting, I told you what the value of the fund was because I looked it up and got one number. And then when I got their statement, the next line we made, the difference in those two, $1,564. So the total that I reported went up by that much. And page 7 is the referendums for the year. Page 8 is the New York class accounts, bank account or investment accounts. As of January 23.
That MDT income is interest?
Yes. Yep. And 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 are the year's total bank accounts for the money market and our 4 reserve accounts. And on page 12 and 13 is the payroll account. And that I think I've been explaining to you, I'm still working on getting the numbers in the right place, so you'll see some voids in there. I caught my own mistakes. And 14, 15, 16, 17 are tonight's vouchers. And there's one change on there on page 15, very top of the page. Under training, it's like second one down, 209 training. It says I wrote in COVID expenses reimbursement. Now that's EMS recertification reimbursement. Nothing to do with COVID.
So that's income.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. That's income. Yeah. It's supposed to be right. And Mike Sure wins the bank statements. And I'm sorry about that code report. That's it.
Anyone have questions for Bill? Are we okay to go on to approval? Someone want to make the motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Make a motion to approve treasury report as reported.
Mark, second. Shara, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And a motion to approve the vouchers as audited and presented. Motion by Chura, second by Labrise. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And as Bill said, Mike Chura has the review of the bank statements, and I will check the balance in New York class and verify that the balance is the same as the report. Do we have any permissive referendums to close out? Correspondence, Amy.
Before we go to correspondence, can we go back to the organizational meeting minutes? So Mike made a correction to that motion. Diane seconded it. Was it amending the motion and approving the minutes, or just amending the motion? Because we still have to approve the minutes. Or approving the minutes as amended with that motion?
Yes.
Just want to clarify.
The last change.
Okay. I just don't want to end up correcting it. Correspondence, the Onondaga County Educational and Legislative Conversation is this Saturday, January 27th. In Cicero, registration begins at 7:45. Fire District Affairs was received and distributed.
Anyone who wanted to go to the legislative conversation should have notified you so we could make reservations. Anyone who did not,
I can try.
we'll try to get you in, but we'll need to know. Okay, Chief's report.
Communications, special events, nothing new this month. Under stations, the department office space at Station 1 is in the process of renovation into a bunk room. It's actually, renovation work is all complete now. The room has been cleaned and painted and is now ready for furniture. Under miscellaneous, still awaiting the report from ISO. I just talked to him the other day and he said we should definitely have that in the next couple of weeks. This is a reminder that the daily drills have changed, that the firematics are being held at Station 2 on Mondays and Wednesdays. EMS drills are at Station 1 Tuesday, Thursday, and again, still asking for any active member that wishes, they can attend any of them. Next is staffing, and I distributed a proposal for that, and I'm open for discussion. We want to talk about that.
Questions for the chief, the board?
When would you like this to start?
As soon as we are ready with the room, there are some logistics to put into place, and again, because I want to make sure that the volunteers have ample opportunity to sign up, it's going to be a few weeks at least. I would first pick a date based on knowing that we have all the proper stuff here for it, the furnishings and all that. Once that's all in place, I'll put out a calendar and give the volunteers a few weeks to sign up, and we'll put a start date in there at that point.
We budgeted for 6 days, not 7, so that leaves us with just shy of about $60,000. Where are we going to get that money from?
So the budget actually, the way it was written, we didn't go with the option of funding enough for 7, and we went more than 5. It was actually a median number that was taken, and it's not about actually the days. It was kind of explained that way for the ease of explaining. We We'll probably not see this start until sometime in mid-February, maybe even the early part of March. So there will be enough money for that. All of that was anticipation of the potential that the volunteers take no shifts. If this works out right, there will be times that the paid staff will not be needed because volunteers will step up to take shifts, which will, I think we'll see that over the months, what we're gonna need.
Thank you. One last question. Are the chiefs still gonna do duty nights then if we have 24/7? How's that gonna work? I know we briefly spoke about it, and I'm not, are you guys doing it or are you not doing the duty shift?
I am doing it tonight, as a matter of fact. I think it's most important that I do because of the optics, me being out of district. I like to come in and make sure that I'm doing and offering the same amount of time that the other chiefs are. We will be in discussions based on how this goes as to what we're going to do going forward, and I'll report it back to you. I'm still in favor of doing it. I think it's a good idea, and it shows the other members, our commitment to it.
So for right now, just you're doing one night a week, is that correct?
From the station.
Okay.
Last night, Chief Melchior stepped up and took the duty last night.
Question on the sheet says a staff shift would be made up of 2 interior firefighters and an EMT.
Yes. I know that can sound a little confusing. I'm sorry about that. One of those interior firefighters could be an interior
So it could be
firefighter
just a
/ EMT.
2-person in.
It could be a two-person crew. Yep.
Okay. And then the next question would be is how many paid firemen can we have on the payroll without going civil service and unionized? What is the max on that?
The union, and Commissioner, I don't want to step on your toes with the union side of thing. I don't think that that's the issue, but I want to say.
Did you spell, what did you want to ask for? You were asking for?
Initially, I would like to try it with as few as possible. I don't want to jump in too far and then have too many on the payroll.
Yeah.
I'd like to get at least 5 or 6 in the door now, knowing that we're going to need. We don't have, with the 10 that we have, we've had openings. So I know we're going to need more than that.
Right.
But I'd kind of like to tiptoe up to it so we don't end up with more than we need as well. Because we won't know until we know how many shifts the volunteers are picking up on a steady basis.
Will you still incorporate training now on the evening? 'Cause I know-
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yep, absolutely. And on Thursday nights, the staff will go over, for the
But
company.
in addition, evening, daily training for the evening?
Absolutely.
Beautiful, thank you.
So going back, Mark, your question was how many people before we union?
Yeah, how many number of paid firemen can you have on the books before you have to be considered bringing in a unionized? Before we go full-time, or how many are allowed on it?
What you have there is 2 questions.
Yep.
They don't ever have to go union. You could have 100 people, it doesn't matter. They don't have to go union, that's their choice.
Okay.
The state has not told me how many people yet that you have to start hiring full-time.
So you could bring in all the part-time you want without worrying about going unionized?
Union has nothing to do with it. That's up to them if they want to unionize.
Right. And that's, in civil service, does it that way?
Civil service has nothing to do with the union.
Okay.
That's them, if you say this row of
Right.
people here were the part-timers and they wanted to unionize, they would get together to talk to the 5 of us. That's all. Has nothing to do with civil service or the state, and their pay or pension or any of that.
Okay.
So what the chief is recommending or asking is that we hire up to 15 additional part-time firefighter EMTs. Is that right?
No,
not 15 additional.
5.
5 additional at this point.
At this point, but
But if we find that we have a lot of gaps and that's not working, then we're certainly going to just keep adding. I don't want to have to keep coming back every month asking for one more, asking for two more. I don't think we would ever need, if we had to fill every single spot, there was no volunteer support whatsoever for this, we might need 25 to fill all the seats. I'm hoping that we're not going to be in that situation. So let's start small and start working up. I just want to have the latitude without having to come back, wait for another month to go by before we come back and ask.
So you're only asking for 5 right now?
I'm going to start with 5 right now.
Should we do 10 so you don't have to come back? Because
It's,
I know we have open shifts now with 10, just,
it might be worth it. If the board feels that, I could certainly
We did
support it, and there's
that,
people out there for it.
we did that before, so you didn't get, the public doesn't have a crew not standing by. The other thing, if it sounds like it's crazy and there's a lot of money going out there, think of this as a supermarket, and the chief's proposal of 2 people working, there's 2 cash registers going on. Now, if you go to Wegmans during Christmas time, and they've got 15 cash registers, they're all being used. But in the slow period, they only have 2. But they have the pool of people to do all 15. So to have that pool of 5 or 10 more, he's not putting 10 on at one time. I think his request is 2 on at one time. And just to have flexibility to let them have time off, have vacation, or like this past summer where we had 1 person out of town and 2 of them were forced to work at the state fair. And we had less people.
So just putting them on the books itself is not going to cost any money.
Cost us nothing.
It's just a pool to pull from
Yep.
if we need them.
Exactly.
Commissioner, the only thing that it would cost is the cost of the turnout gear. So it'd be an upfront cost.
upfront cost.
We'd have to get more, yep, exactly. So yep.
Yeah, you could sit there and have 5, or you could have 100 until they're here working, you're not paying them.
No,
Well, unless you're buying all the gear, that's, but other than that, salary-wise, benefits, anything like that, nothing.
right, because we don't offer benefits and all that.
Well, anything, it's nothing until they work.
Right.
So they punch the clock and they're here doing hours.
Then what about the LoSAP issue of what are we going to do for the members in the middle of the night for the EMTs, the volunteers, where they're not going to want to get up and go to the medical calls now, because if I got 2 people on, that's going to affect the LoSAP issues now.
But they can.
But they can, and I would hate to confuse the 2 issues here. You know, that's a separate one, because that's dealing with the membership in the department.
Right.
And how they award points.
Okay. I didn't know if the LoSAP was,
There's nothing.
you guys had to do with it. All right.
So we need to discuss, we need to work on how we're going to administer points for personnel standing by. What is considered a duty shift? What time, how much time do they have to spend? So that is something that we need to discuss, we need to work out.
And work with the department.
Right.
And their bylaws too, because how that'll work out. Is it 4-hour duty shift? Is it 6-hour duty shift? What's a duty shift?
Right.
But that's cooperation with the fire department.
How are you going to communicate this to the membership so they understand coming up in the next, that they have to do this? That's your big issue, is communication, and how to communicate the reasonableness and what it is, the reasonableness and the need for this and everything else, so that the membership understands what they're signing up for, what they can sign up for, what can happen. Yes, the whole LoSAP thing, it has to be resolved pretty quick, because, or else you're gonna have to do a lot of backtracking to backfill the data. But how's that communication going to happen? Who's going to do it?
I think, as you were talking, I'm looking across the room, I think the coolest thing you have going for us right now is you have the vice president, treasurer, and 2 board of directors sitting right in this room.
Understand that it's
For great
their
communication to the
responsibility, or
members.
is it yours as commissioners?
We'll work together.
Will there be a physical document that you provide them so it explains it to them in writing?
At some point, probably.
I think what will happen is, as we discussed with the what is considered a shift. So there's going to have to be some sort of paperwork that goes out saying that if you stand by for X amount of time, this is considered, you're getting your points this way. So there will be some sort of documentation that goes out there.
Okay, so I guess at this point, we need to decide how many additional firefighter and part-time firefighter EMTs we want to approve. He's asking for 5 initially, he's asking probably for 15.
Can you leave it open-ended and just say up to 15, as I said, without putting the exact number, and I'll work towards up to 15
Up to 15 without coming back?
Up to 15 additional.
additional.
How do you feel about that?
Is that a motion?
Does somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Okay, to hire addition, 15
Up to
additional
15. yeah.
part-time. And this is to, according to his proposal, to supplement the fire department in staffing 24/7. Okay, so Chura
Are we sticking with the 24/7, or were we doing the 24/5 or 6 that it was originally?
well, I think he's come with 24/7 and explained that we have enough funding for that. So Chura made that motion. Did anybody second it?
One last question I have, Chief. How are we gonna work this calendar where you say where they can till this out and take a shift?
So as far as the paid side of it goes, the paid part-time firefighter EMTs, it's going to go a lot like it does now, other than for the volunteers. I'm going to give it to the volunteers for the first 2 weeks so that they get to look at it and decide what they want to do for the next month. You can pick any shifts you want. After they have done it for 2 weeks, I'll give a deadline as of this date. Then I will hire to fill the rest of the schedule with the paid part-time firefighter EMTs. So
How are you
try to
gonna
build
give
up.
that?
Teams.
How when you say you're gonna give that to them, what does that mean?
Teams,
What's that?
Office 365, Teams. Everybody has access to it now.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
calendar
So
right
there's a
here.
calendar on there.
Yeah.
Do we know how the shifts, how many, like, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours?
So
what's the shift?
from their standpoint, the shift that they'll have is what they currently have, which is a 10-hour day and a 14-hour night. Now, in order to, if volunteers come back and they're gonna do something different, they say they're gonna do a 12-hour shift or something like that, then we're gonna have to figure out how we're gonna incorporate that in, whether it be bringing somebody in early. The volunteers might come back and say they wanna do a 24. So we're just gonna have to fill the hours outside of it, in order to balance out the shift. They may not work the same 10 and 14 hours because it may not be convenient for them based on what they do at work.
So you're kind of gonna let the volunteers choose what time.
Yep. And then the paid staff will have them go second, and they will fill in the balance.
Okay.
Well, the maximum hours, how many hours are they allowed to work under the part-time? 30?
Up
30
to
is,
30.
Up to 30?
Up to 30
30
Right.
Per week.
Per week.
per
30 a
week.
week, 60
Now-
a week, 30.
In talking with them, because being in the fire service or ambulance service, you work weird hours. 3 10-hour days is easy for them. If we did 24-hour shifts, if somebody did 2 of them, it'd be 48 just in 1 week. The civil service and the state will take the average. So if they did 48 in 1 week, but didn't work 3 weeks, what did they do for the month? And it's less than 30.
But if they do 48 in a week, we have to pay them time and a half after 40. If you're working,
When you
For
get into
payroll.
police and fire, it's a whole different thing. I know the normal workforce is 40 hours, you're getting time and a half.
Right.
No. But you're not going to, I don't anticipate with the additional hires that you just asked for, somebody doing 48. You know, you're going to get 24, and then maybe somebody covers for somebody, 6 hours, 8 hours. You might hit that 30 or 32, but in the end, if they see somebody averaging 35 to 40 hours every week throughout the year, they're going to call me up and say, okay, you're putting on full-time.
Right.
We're going to have to hire more part-timers to prevent that, and that's where we would go back.
And the full-timers will be more expensive, I would anticipate.
Well, absolutely, with the insurance and everything else you have to cover.
Yep.
So the part-time is saving us money because of the health insurance and everything else.
Okay, so Mike made the motion, I'll second the motion, so the motion's on the floor. Any further discussion?
One more?
That's what
You say
discussion.
2 interiors and an EMT. If the interior is an EMT, is that the same?
Yeah, that was what
Okay.
Commissioner Harrison asked the same. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. You could very well get away with 2 people. If you and Lieutenant Luke Harrison wanted to be a shift, you got it covered.
Now, we have a crew that usually does a 91. Because there's only one interior, that whole crew couldn't do a shift, correct?
Correct. And a 91 can still be done. There's nothing taken away from a 91, that's just extra people.
Would
They
we
wouldn't be,
hire if
we
we do
would
a
still do the
91?
hiring if you're doing a 91 because they have different responsibilities than a
Okay.
91.
All right, I'm done.
Okay, further discussion?
What if, I love the what ifs. What if we had volunteers that wanted to work during the day or stand by during the day? How would that work?
Same thing. If they sign up for a shift and they fill a shift, I'm more than glad to tell the paid staff that that shift is filled. They'll get a calendar that'll show that that day is not one of the options.
All in favor?
Okay, are we ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. So, the next item I see here is that you reported that the bunk room is ready, but it doesn't have any furnishings. Amy, do you want to tell us what you figured out for approximate for furnishings?
I'm estimating, and this is being probably more than we would need, between 3,000 and 3,500. I think it'll come in probably below, right around 3. Below.
So I didn't hear that very well, but I think 3,000 to 3,500. Okay. So my question to facilities maintenance is, do you want to take that out of facilities, out of your budget of what's your budget, 65,000 or something?
Something like that.
Or do you want to do a permissive referendum for that? We could hold off and do permissive referendum for any other large things that come through during the year. And this is not a very,
You can take it out of the budget, it's fine.
okay, all right. So do we have a motion to approve, say, up to $3,500 to furnish the bunk room? Bunk rooms, plural.
So how many beds and all that is that gonna fit?
6.
It'll be 6 beds,
Plus the rest of the.
little nightstands, yeah, little things like that.
I was at Cicero last night, and they were able to furnish 2 bunk rooms donation-wise. When they got their firehouse built up. And we looked at any,
No. I don't know who would be donating to us for that.
we could get in touch with Sleep in Heavenly Peace possibly, but I don't think that's intended for this purpose.
So, Chair, did you make the motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Did we take care of everything there, Chief? That
I think we have it. Thank you all.
Chief Speech, do you have a report?
We're working towards doing the trial of name responding, and we just said, talked to a rep from Image Trend, possibly switch from Zoll to Image Trend to do any PCRs. Right now, everything's just is a trial, so there may be some IT expenses down the road. I'll get with the IT committee. If we do move forward with it and stuff, because there may be some upgrades that we need to make, but at this point, there's no upgrades that we need to make, but we set the stuff up to do a free trial live responding. I think it's for 2 months. So once we hear back from that guy, we'll see how that works for us. But it seems like we'll be able to integrate a lot of the stuff that we're getting with bricks into that, which will be nice.
One of the things that I remember when we went with bricks was the hydrants. Well, our hydrant up
We asked
here,
about that. As long as we have that digitally, they can move that right into the program. Available.
any other questions for Chief Speech? How about Chief Melchior?
Good evening. Mandatory training scheduled for this week, and I believe on Saturday, February 3rd. Try to get all the members caught up on their mandatory training. The rest of the training, looking at some revisions in some of the qualification procedures. The Chief's office will look at that, and we'll give that recommendation procedure for you guys to look at your policy for revisions, see what you guys think. And also looking at qualifications for the different members' roles, EMS, drivers, stuff like that. We're trying to get the qualifications squared away so they're aligned with your risk that you guys have. And we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. Trying to get all that stuff out early in the year so that all the members can figure out what they need to do, and we can guide them throughout the year, making sure they're qualified and stay qualified. More to come. Another week or so, you'll see some stuff on your desk.
The mandatory training, are we doing that at 7 or 6, or what time was that starting?
Some wanted at 6. I was advised, a very wise person, to keep it at 7 and keep it simple. So I'm going to go with that recommendation. And I'm more than welcome to come in other times to finish up other training. I believe the Saturday will be for 4 hours, which will cover all 4 sections of it. But the Thursday night will be 2 hours with McNeil, and you'll have to finish up your other 2 hours at home online, unless you want to come in on Saturday.
So what courses are they going to be offering Thursday night?
Sexual harassment and workplace violence.
And those are the mandatory ones that
Everybody needs those.
right, all members, including associates and everything else.
PAS-COM, communications, and bloodborne pathogens, you'll do on your own, or come in on Saturday, we'll do them there.
What's don't the support members need 3?
Correct. The hazard communications is the third one.
Right. Gee, it would be nice if we could get that one on Thursday night, because the number of support members that come fairly.
If they want to stay after 9 o'clock, I'll be glad. I'll stay here all night. Who knows, I might have to do tonight.
Might be nice to try to incorporate that. So
Right.
they don't have to come back.
I'm here. I'll be here all day and night, doesn't matter.
So from 7 to 11?
Sure. We got coffee.
Okay, any questions? Okay, moving on to committee reports, long-term planning, Sarah.
Nothing.
Do you want to report on the bathrooms?
I was leaving that for Jeff.
He just did his report, we didn't mention it.
I know you did. Amy, go ahead.
Oh.
Otherwise, I gotta read your email.
Oh, the specification for the bathroom remodel was in, or the notice for bid specification was in the paper today. We've actually got the Syracuse Builders Association and another company already asked for the bid spec to put it in. There's a pre-bid walkthrough scheduled for February 2nd, I think, at 1 o'clock. If anybody's interested, or they can set it up at different times to walk through that. And then the bid opening will be February 7th. So we'll have it prior to the February meeting, so you guys can look at it then, figure out what we're gonna do and how it's gonna work. So that is moving forward.
New truck committee, Diane.
Second that. So, I guess Chief, do you have any recommendations on vehicles to sell?
Yeah, same that I mentioned before, the Rescue 1 and Engine 21. As far as the large vehicles, that would be.
And then M2, are we keeping that in service, or are we gonna?
My recommendation would be no for the amount of time that it was used. I don't believe that it is needed in that capacity anymore. And now looking at the lineup here, having the paid staffing here, I don't know that it's worthwhile to have that vehicle.
So Rescue 1, Engine 21, M2, and Car 2 or 3, whatever.
Both.
Are both of them?
Both of them, please.
Okay. So 5 vehicles.
So are we keeping one for use of travel? Because
Yeah,
the
miscellaneous
current car
vehicle.
that you're running was the M vehicle that was used when people went to different training courses,
You
et
guys need to
cetera.
speak up. This, nobody can hear.
My question was, are we going to keep one of the cars so that we can use that so that people can take them to training instead of dispersing of all 3 of the old chief vehicles?
My recommendation was no, and this is certainly up for your discussion, your vehicles, I guess, if you will. Last year, we had one person use one vehicle for one class. The class went on for weeks, but it was only out one time. Personally, I just didn't see it as being fiscally responsible to keep a vehicle for that, when we could either pay mileage or do something along those lines. And even for that one person going to a class, for that matter, we could send them in a pickup truck. And
How many people were reimbursed for mileage, and what was the cost of that? Okay.
There were quite a few that put in for mileage, but would they have taken on 3 of them?
Yeah, who's here then, and so I didn't have
I would recommend keeping one of the chief vehicles, one for classes for members, and also if one of the other main chief vehicles are out of service for any reason, we have a backup, such as an accident or unforeseen weather accident on it. Took it out for a period of time, we had a backup. And if they're paid for, there's no reason I can see getting rid of all 3 vehicles.
I agree.
Can we change that possibly to keeping the old M2 and sell the other 2?
No. The old M2 is the worst vehicle of them all.
It's the oldest.
Correct.
mine.
So we can sell the old M2
Yeah.
and then keep one of the other ones.
Which one would you like to keep?
We'd have to look at the maintenance records on them,
Right.
mileage, and determine it from there. Which one's in the better shape between the 2.
So are you saying, Mark, for us to make the decision, or are you gonna?
I would table that decision for now until we look at the records and determine which vehicle is the better of the 2 to keep. Because we can't sit there and say, all right, let's get rid of both of them. We don't know which one is the better of the two vehicles. Depends on the mileage, maintenance records that we have for the background now.
So can we give that to a committee to make that recommendation rather than wait another whole month? Come back for a board meeting?
Possibly, yeah.
Would that be the truck maintenance committee or would that be the new truck committee?
New truck.
New truck?
Oh, I was thinking maintenance, because that's what we're judging on, how to sell the vehicles based
They're
on.
both the same. They're within 1,000 miles of each other, 2,000 miles of each other. Neither one has a problem.
One of them, the interior is better shape than the other.
Mike, I'll be on that committee if you'd like with you, and we can decide which one of those two vehicles that we'll keep and which one we'll get rid of. Okay, thank you.
As we're talking about vehicles, to the chief, engine 21 was one of your recommendations to replace it when the new engine comes in. Relocating, so you would be relocating engine 11 to station 2?
I can't say that exactly right now. There's other things I have to look at first, and that would be the equipment that's on Rescue 1.
Yep.
We're probably going to take a physical look. It's hard to do just by diagram to see how we'll do that.
I didn't know if this was part of your plan of Rescue 1 and engine 21 once the new engine piece comes in, the new engine, rescue pump comes in. But if we do get rid of engine 21 and you look at your engine 11 goes down to station 2, one will have to get a whole bunch of new drivers trained on it, and you're putting in a 10-year older vehicle still in service that we know has an issue with the pump when it comes to drafting, and engine 21 is one of our main pieces that we do drafting for the community around us.
I was told months ago to take a look at both of those vehicles to figure out which one had to go first.
Yep.
So I took it to the people that we do our maintenance with, and then I also took it to for another opinion from another one, and they determined that the one that needs to be replaced the soonest, the one that's going to cost us the most sooner, is going to be 21, and the decision was based on that alone, is what I was going to. It won't pass inspection next year, they don't believe. That was the reason for telling us to take it easier on it.
Because of some cross member.
Yep, the cross members, mainly under the tank, are rotting, and there's actually, they've lost half of their material. They said it's still safe, it's still past inspection, but it was marginal. And they're thinking by next year with the just the normal corrosion just from the salt and all that on the roads, it likely will not pass inspection, will require some pretty significant work to keep it in service. With these two engines now, if you think about it, the two rescue pumpers that are coming are probably going to be 8 to 10 months apart from when one gets here and the other.
Yep.
So it's almost negligible as far as
I thought we were looking at almost a whole year, another whole year before the next
this one that's coming, and Diana, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that we're looking at March now, maybe
We have
April.
a March 24th inspection date.
So you're not going to see it in service until April. The next one, we're probably looking at.
June.
Is it June? Then that's been pushed out too since. So all right, so now you're up to 14 months difference.
Yes. Following June.
Following.
Nice
Yeah.
this year.
It hasn't been moved up. The last discussion I had is that the second one might move up because there was no engineering to do. If we didn't have to add anything, it might go sooner than that. But I'm not sure if you talked to them last
The
year.
other way.
These things happen with materials. But anyway, they're about a year apart then.
Dates for the first one?
First one, inspection date of March 24, and then the second one expected is June 2025.
So, I talked to Dombowski today. He's looking for a delivery end of February.
Oh, delivery of February?
End of February, yeah.
Because I spoke with him maybe a week and a half ago, and he was saying there's an inspection date of March 24th.
End of February, 1st of March.
All right, I'll reach out to him tomorrow then.
Well, at any rate, we're gonna need to approve travel for the inspection.
Correct.
So the sooner we do that, at least it's resolved. Where do you have to go?
South Dakota?
Huh?
Is it South Dakota?
Somewhere nowhere along.
Did you want to take one of the old Chiefs cars and road test it?
We'll make this.
M2.
So with that, I'd like to make a motion for up to 3 people to travel to inspect the first vehicle, $3,500. And talking with Dumbo, who usually schedules the flights, they're skyrocketing. They've got a 2-week sway usually from when they book them. Previous years, it was a month that they would sway. If you booked your flight, you could move it for this business type of thing. We may or may not try to fly before then, so I would ask for the money now if we can, $3,500 for up to 3.
$3,500?
For up to 3 for flying and lodging.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Thanks for speaking up.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And I would point out that many times when the spec is written, the company will pay for the travel, but it's almost always much more than as if we pay for our own. You know, when they build it in, they build in $10,000, $15,000, and there's not much sense in our doing that. So several trucks ago, we decided, no, we'll pay our own way, we'll be frugal, rather than go with their costs. Okay, so we still haven't resolved selling 2 small vehicles.
Well, M2 and then one of the newer ones of Charlie's are my choice.
Right.
And I would like to add to that, if you guys would allow us, whatever Charlie and I decide which one to sell, permission to list it for auction, both of them. So we don't have to wait next month to say, we'd like to take this one and put it to auction.
That's why I'm trying to get it, so we don't have to come back next month.
But do we have to do a permissive referendum first to dispose of them?
I don't think we have to do it for this referendum, because I don't think we expect to get over 20,000 for either one.
For all 5? The rest of the...
No,
Just the Explorers.
Oh, you're only doing the Explorers?
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't think we'll get more than 20 for this?
20 each.
Yeah,
This is each.
yeah.
Wow, I don't know. I mean, Mullins have just got a good amount for but I thought it was newer.
Chief's gonna look quick to see what the value is. I thought you were.
So what's it take to do the permissive referendum?
Takes 30 days. But we could still list them, and we could still go through the process, but
I have no idea what the value would be. I think they're about 50-some thousand miles.
Give or take.
The highest I found one listed for is $14,995 for a police interceptor, 2017 police interceptor. And it doesn't have any lights in it. Yeah, one's a 14, one's a 17.
So even if we sold it locally and 3,000 for the lights extra, that's 17,000, we could probably go under the 20.
I think it was 200. Sold those pickup trucks, that was a different story than these.
It's up to you. If you think we're going to get above the 20, we can do a permissive referendum. The only thing it costs is the advertising.
Well, you might want to cover your bases just in case you do get over the 20. Because what happens if you don't get the referendum? And you can sell for over 20.
I guess you give them a deal.
Yeah.
Say, sorry, we can't take 20. We
Right,
have to
yeah,
take
but here,
19.99.
1999.
Well, we'll solve it. I'll make the motion that we publish a permissive referendum for the sale of the,
Two Explorers.
what?
Two Explorers.
To the two Explorers, and with the understanding that we're talking about each. So if we get 21,000 for one and 14,000 for the other, that's cool. If we get 14 and 14, that's cool. You don't have to put all that in the motion, of course.
I'll make it
But,
separate.
you know, so it's a permissive referendum to allow us to sell the Explorers if their sale price exceeds 20,000. Okay, I made that motion.
Second it.
Diane seconds the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Sure.
If 21 is in bad a shape as what you say, how can we safely sell it?
Well, when we sell any apparatus like that, it's as is, and we make sure we let people know. You know, when we repaired that frame,
On 12, yeah.
Yeah.
We had repaired the frame on 12, and that was sold, they're all sold as is, so the chief's vehicles are as is. You know, everything is as is.
What would it cost to get 21 fixed?
well, those things all have to be discussed and talked about, but here we're not talking about selling 21, we're talking about selling those small,
vehicles.
the Explorers.
You're gonna wait and do the referendum for the rescue one and 11 or 21 next month or the month after, once you have a definite date on your
Yes,
rescue pumper?
yes.
Yeah, all we decided on tonight was the car, that's the Explorer. Okay, I think we need to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Are you
And Charlie
authorized-
and Mike Chair are going to decide which of the Explorers gets sold.
Are you authorizing them to do that and list it as well?
What's that?
Are you authorizing them to make the decision on the second chief's vehicle and to list it on Auctions International
Yes.
as well?
Yes. I think that was the intent of the
Yes.
discussion, so add that to my motion.
So with hope that next meeting,
Yeah,
Charlie and
I
I
just
can
want-
say sold.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that in the motion.
Yeah, good idea. Okay. So Diane, does that take care of your new truck committee? Lights under public safety, Charlie.
Oh, thank you. So January 16th, the meeting was held at Phoenix Station 1. I accepted the nomination for chair and was elected unanimously. Phoenix Chief Scott Dowdy was also nominated for vice chair and was also elected unanimously. Discussion was had on Engine 91 policy as posted on the website. Minor adjustments were made to clean it up, and it will be posted as that. There will be more updates made to the policy in the near future. Officer qualifications were discussed with the difference between individual departments and 91 not being parallel. Future updates to be made. Assistant Chief Melchior requested chief contact information from participating departments so that the list of firefighters, EMTs that are eligible to participate in the 91 program can be updated. He has since received that information. Next meeting is going to be at the Plainville Station 1 on February 20th. One other thing, at the Section 3 District's Commissioner Quarterly Meeting, is that correct, last night?
Region 3.
Yeah.
Regions meeting, okay.
Region 3, yeah.
Missed part of that. Discussion was had about the first responder tax reduction. So presently, CNS and West Genesee have passed a resolution, so their firefighters will be receiving a reduction in that. I have information from all of the information that Chief Jim Perrin did. A lot of legwork he had involved in that, and he had sent me all of the information. I know that Vince is in the process of working with that. Vince had spoke at this month's school board meeting at the beginning of the month. December meeting. So I need to get in touch with Vince, give him the information that we have. Again, there's going to be a lot of legwork involved in it, so this is something that there's still a possibility. At the meeting, I believe that they were talking, the board was talking, and they said that they thought it was going to be millions or $5 million or some lot of money. CNS is roughly between $66,000 and $73,000, so not really a lot of money involved. And they had 70 firefighters, so we have less than that. So, again, it's going to be, the number's going to be different because it's all of the departments that are encompassed by the school district. So we need to get all of the firefighters' information for that, put it on a sheet, let them know, and present it to the school. That's all I have. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Budget and finance, it's early in the year, no report. IT committee, sure.
Matt touched on the PCRs, testing a new thing. We'll also be looking at replacing the bricks there, possibly, and continue to look at the phone system update. That's it for IT.
Questions for Mike? Okay. Personnel committee, with the approval of additional part-time firefighter EMTs, we will begin advertising the positions and interviews. Last time as we got the packet for each potential employee, we had them and left them out on the table in the commissioner's office so everybody could look at them and have input. Truck maintenance.
Nothing on truck maintenance. That'll get something else up. Oh, if things come in, because I think we only have a few applicants right now.
Yeah, we already have some on.
Did you want to set up the interviewing like you did in the past? And then, which was the chief, yourself, myself, interviewing. Everybody else reviews the stuff ahead of time, brings any questions, and then move forward.
Yeah, I think we made the recommendation of the ones to hire. Do we need to come back next month with that recommendation, or do we have the authority to go ahead and hire? We need to have that clear.
How do we already have applications
Because
accepted?
they,
people that we
they're
didn't
not
hire.
accepted.
From the
They're
previous?
just, you know,
Yeah.
people send
They're on
them in.
file.
So, they're still on file and
Yes.
so we're gonna call them and see
If we hired 10 in the
Right.
past,
Yes.
we received 15.
Okay, so you're gonna call these people back and see if they're still interested in it?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to clarify how we
Yeah,
already
we
had
kept-
applicants.
Kept them on file.
Okay,
And if they weren't hired the first time around,
yep,
we asked them if they would like their resume kept on file if there was ever a vacancy, you know, in the future, if somebody quit or whatever.
Okay.
So, and with that, if we could make sure our website is active for all the application stuff that we had before, that would be great. That was my personnel thing. Other question.
Okay, so we'll do as Mike suggested. We'll have that information available to all the commissioners to review the applicants. Chief, Mike, and I will interview them, and we will recommend who we would like to hire. My question is, do we need to come back here, or will you accept the committee's recommendation to the hire? I think that
we're gonna have to take your word for it because all we're gonna be able to do is read the paperwork. You guys are gonna be doing the interviews, so we have no say on, we'd have no knowledge of
But
what
if
they
you
have.
have questions,
Right, we can
get them
provide
to
them
us.
to you.
Yes, yes. If you see something, because
A flag pops up.
you're going to get an email
Yep,
that'll say, you know, such and such resume is in such a location. At your time, you go take a look at it. If you have any questions, kick
Yep.
it back. Any, you know, I know this person, or I got a question about this, whatever, we'll direct it at them and give you the feedback.
okay, okay.
And if there's more follow-up to the individual, we'll continue to do that. We tried it the first time around, getting 5 commissioners to do interviews, and
Now, when,
unbearable. Motion to adjourn?
when you do the interviews, are you always using the same template, questionnaire type sheets?
Yes.
Okay.
The only time it differentiates is if the applicant takes it off on a tangent, asks us a question.
Right, yep. But you have a template that, same questions to everybody that you, okay.
And we're very, very, very cognizant of the applicant's ability and attitude toward working with volunteers.
Okay.
So when we get interviews done, we decide, we'll send an email to the other commissioners of who we are recommending, and unless we have a huge kickback, we will proceed with the hiring.
Okay.
Okay. So, back to truck maintenance now, because
I don't think there's anything,
you started,
yeah.
you went back to.
Oh, yeah, I had the other thing for the hires, but yeah, there's nothing on truck maintenance.
Building maintenance, Charlie.
Building maintenance, so the 4 exterior doors in this building have been replaced. Just want to thank Mike Malone, former Commissioner Mike Malone, for all of the effort and work that he put into it. They were done last Friday. Still waiting for various parts and pieces for the heating system. It seems like there's multiple components that have been going down. We've got the bulk of the system up and running, but there's still issues going on. One of the other things that we're looking into is water bottle fill stations at 1 and 2. Mark has been looking into that along with some other people. We've got different information. I'll let Mark talk about that.
This is for what?
Water bottle filling stations, so
Oh,
Well, yeah, the department approached us, they talked about saving the water bottles and everything else, and for cost efficiency, they do make a bottle filler that you can adapt to your current drinking fountains, but unfortunately, these drinking fountains are a little bit on the old side, so you could buy an adapter if we had the current style, but the recommendation would have to be now is replace both drinking fountains and with a complete system, and all you do is you walk up to the bottle filler, you put your bottle there's a sensor on it, and it just fills your bottle up, and you pull it out, you're done. They do make them in two different styles, one with a filter and one without filters. I would go without the filters because why have the extra cost? Because of the water that we have here supplied. If you were in a village, I would definitely go with the filters. I have seen these things before, and I have a couple of them at my own building where I work. They work great without the filters. It's the same thing as just walking up to a drinking fountain, getting your water. Cold.
If you had the filters, what would they filter out?
Not quite sure exactly. It'd be like your home filters that you have.
They filter out calcium and minerals, deposits, stuff like that, iron, so you'd be surprised at the stuff that it filters out. But again, like Mark said, the quality of water that we have here versus the village water is a big difference. So.
We're on Aqua here, right?
Correct.
Village is on well.
Which stinks.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll get back to you. We'll let you know what we've come up with.
Oh,
but
so I thought you had.
No, we got some prices and we're looking at them.
Yep.
There is two other vendors that I want to give a call on because I went on their website and they don't list their prices on their website. So I will give them a call and ask them.
I mean, what kind of money are we talking about? $10,000?
No, you're
not
looking.
a lot of money.
One basic unit is $1,400. That's the whole fountain with the adapter on top.
And this would be for Station 1 and Station 2?
Station 1 and Station 2.
I don't know the headquarters. Well, we have the...
You got the refrigerator, right?
The
already.
refrigerator has a water filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're all set there.
So it'd be basically 1 and 2.
So you'll come back next month?
We'll come back.
The other portion on for buildings that I would like to see and recommend, I haven't talked to Charlie much about this one yet, but the door handles here on our doors, if you look at our new exterior doors, they have the new ADA compliant handles on them, which I would like to put on the man doors going into our truck bays instead of taping them down. That way, all you gotta do is walk up to the door, push the handle down, in you go.
Those are existing buildings.
Not the ones that are out there. They have to turn.
So you'll bring that back?
Yep.
It's private discussion. It wasn't mumbling.
Is that all for building maintenance?
Yes, that's all.
Steering committee, Diane.
I have nothing to report yet, but our first meeting is this Saturday at 9:30.
Fire prevention, Mark?
Nothing to report at this time. The season has not kicked off yet, but once it does, we will.
I'd like to wait until the weather is good enough for the students to come out and look at the trucks.
Yep.
Okay. Policy review. Chief sent us the personal vehicle response directive scene, updated policy. Everybody had a chance to review that? comments for us?
No, this was cleaned up, and then basically what I ended up doing was taking from what we talked about back in April of last year, took the recommendations from everyone who made comments on it, and basically just cleaned it up. So that's all it is.
Motion to accept it. You got a question?
Question on it. The only people that are allowed to go to the scene are your EMTs. What happens if, I mean, policy states EMTs only, but if you go by a scene that's possible full arrest, policy's telling me I can't stop.
It's a guideline,
But
so generally speaking, you don't. If it's something like that, I'd have a hard time thinking that you're going to get yourself in trouble. I'm certainly not going to
right,
convict you for it.
and same thing with you're crossing off motor vehicle collisions on 79 possible 80s.
Absolutely.
You don't want them to stop, to render any aid or anything like that.
All these vehicles that we have out here
Yep.
have all got DOT requirements for all the chevron and stuff like that for safety purposes.
Yep.
We're not prepared to stop, and there are more times now. You look on the highways and see the accidents.
Correct.
Now, we all know, once again, it's a guideline. If something tells you that this is way more important and that you can find a safe place, it's going to be a hard time to come after you for it if you're doing the right thing. But generally speaking, it's not a good practice to do that.
The other issue that caught my mind was the fact of recently in the news, you had that gentleman that accidentally, well, I can't say accidentally, you can't assume anything, but the gentleman that opened fire on a car that pulled into his driveway, and granted, our cars are going to be on the outside of the yard waiting, but that's just something in your thought is your EMTs are going to be showing up in an unmarked vehicle, coming to a call, and they pull up to a wrong residence like this other gentleman on the news that has got himself in trouble. We could be possibly in the same situation.
Absolutely. There's going to be an inherent risk no matter what.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, you could come up on any call and the house could explode. I mean, it really,
Yep.
there is a risk, and everyone is going to have to weigh that for themselves, and we expect that the EMTs will. First question they ask when they go up to any call, is the scene safe? If they are not comfortable approaching it, number one, they don't have to. And also, now with the new directive and what we just finished up with the paid staffing and all that, you are going to have people coming. If stopping there is important to you, you can still wait until that rig pulls up, and then you can just join them at the same time rather than coming all the way to the firehouse and not being part of that call. So again, it's something that they're being allowed to do, but certainly they're going to have to take cautions.
So if we're putting on pay to speed up our time frame to get to these calls, then why do our EMTs need to exactly go to the call? Why not just come to the firehouse?
It's a great question, and there might be times where they do come straight to the firehouse, but there's also calls where 2 is not enough.
Right.
So I'll just pick on Diane as an EMT sitting up here. If the call is down the road or if it's right over in Radisson and all that, she may decide to go to the scene and to be a third set of hands. You know, we'll always welcome, another person coming along. If she's not comfortable getting out of her car till we get there, park a few houses away. The rig pulls up, the 3 of you can walk in together. So again, it's going to be a judgment call based on the call, and we would expect our professionals to make that decision.
I get it, but just receiving this tonight and wanting me to make a decision on it, further looking into it, it's just tough on my end.
Did I hear you make a motion?
Motion to approve it. It's been out there for a long time.
Since April.
No,
Waiting for any input that you wanted to give them.
this is the first time I've seen the updated version of it.
But any input you wanted to give them, it's been out there and sought. I mean, we've been, for one little thing where somebody that, all they have to do is, I feel uncomfortable, I'm not going to go to that scene.
Right.
That's it. You don't need a policy. If you're uncomfortable, don't go. We can put this to rest.
I know with the motor vehicle accidents, I'm happy that's not on there. I always thought, if I was actually passing an accident to get to the station, I know I would never go to the station because why am I gonna go through that chaos? And Mark, honestly, when I've gone direct to scene, some of the things I'm dressed in, they let you right in the door. They just want your help when you get there. They don't care who you are.
So now-
What you're wearing.
The other question is, you want us to want them to use the Briggs app?
Yep. It's not even, it doesn't say the Briggs, I believe it.
Or whatever app that we're gonna be using at the time.
Yep.
Will that cover them under the insurance?
They're covered regardless.
They're recovered regardless, that was already looked into, but, yeah, good question, but that was already looked into.
Okay.
We have a second on Mike's motion.
I'll second.
Diane,
Even if it's not, even if even if you drive up.
further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Suppose.
Got that? Any? Mark
Who's
opposed?
I didn't hear who seconded the motion.
Diane seconded.
Diane second.
I need it, Diane.
No further discussion. All in favor except Mark, who opposed?
One thing I would like addressed, I'm not sure, maybe you guys can decide. When they respond direct to scene, but they're riding a rig, it's really confusing. Like, I'm thinking they're coming in their personal car, but then they're coming in on a rig. I think, like, if I'm here in the station and I'm going on a call, I'm gonna hit station 1 and go. Where if I hit direct to scene, I'm assuming someone's in a personal vehicle, so I'm looking out for that.
I can take that to the officers' meeting and have them express that down to their people, just to.
Because it's confusing, I'm not sure
Understood.
what's coming. Or if it's
I get
direct to
that.
scene, I'm looking for a personal vehicle.
Okay, we'll discuss it in the officers' meeting, we'll have them push it down to the membership to do that.
Thank you.
Makes sense. Yep.
We can change the count.
Okay, we have the gym reimbursement here with a question mark. I don't think we've had an opportunity to really discuss that. I don't know exactly what the request was.
They were looking for more towards the reimbursement. But I think they were gonna bring it back to the department business meeting, but I don't think it was discussed.
I don't think it was either.
Yeah, if there was a
That's
way
how
to
it was
do
left.
2% or something, I don't think we have the information we thought we were gonna have.
So we'll take that
I was
off
told to
our-
put it on the agenda for this month,
I
so
think
it's
the
there.
treasurer was gonna mention
Yeah.
it to the department.
And I don't think it was brought up.
Right.
We have to give, I think, individual approval for DOT physicals, or just give the overall approval?
It's individual approval, the people that usually get it, Chief Root gets his DOT and
Patterson.
Jeremy Patterson, I think, are the only people left that get it. Anybody else, it would be, when they ask me, I could send it to you guys for approval, but at least those two I know usually get it.
Somebody make the motion?
I can't see, first of all, what's the price differential between a DOT?
$50 for the
50 bucks.
paperwork.
Okay. $50 is not a lot of money, but looking at Mr. Patterson's response for last year, I'm sorry, no.
I agree.
I think that it is a benefit to anyone who wants it, that we should give it to them, but I think that you need to give something back to the community. So this is something that taxpayer money pays for. It's only $50, but you need to make some calls, you need to make some training, you need to show up. We're not talking about past history, we're talking about last year.
And then the same token, I'll ask the vice president, could you just have a banquet and give it to members that didn't meet the numbers and stuff? And what was the price per head on that?
The banquet,
How many people were deficient?
we don't go by deficiency for the banquet.
If you had at least one, it's the same
Yep.
clerk,
Yep.
so you're making an exception for a banquet, but not this other.
But if you'd like to discuss that, that would be something you would need to talk to the president about. She is the one who
You're the
does
vice
invitations.
president.
Correct. I'm not here representing the vice president of the banquet of the department. I'm here as a commissioner.
Then take it back and see. We'll table this, because if it's fair for them, I mean, what if the individuals for this DOT said, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to be active next year? Because you've got a person that for 5 years has not been active, but said, I'm going to be. So,
Who, you have somebody in particular that attended the banquet that hasn't? Who is it?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know, you've got somebody in particular that hasn't responded and hasn't met their minimum requires?
yeah,
Would you like to share the name of that?
not on camera.
Okay.
But
Show me here. In private.
that smells right. Okay, somebody told me it. Okay.
So do we give approval for anyone who wants the DOT physical, or do we name the people that are?
We name the people that do it. At this time, the only request I have is Chief Roots.
Okay, well, if that's the only request we've got, then we make the motion to approve DOT physical for Chief Root. Period. Is there a
Second that
second?
motion.
Okay. So the other discussion is really mute.
If he didn't apply for it,
Yeah. Okay.
Does Tommy get his? Does he have his?
Don't know. Don't know.
He may get it for work, but if he has it,
I would think the town
it's
provides
us.
it.
I don't know if he needs it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
What were the dates for the physicals?
That email's going out tomorrow. They are February 6th and 8th,
And the deadline, the 30th?
the end of March.
In light of the weight situation with many of our members and increasing concerns over the health of people, don't you think you should bring for the cost for the A1C testing for everyone so they know where they're at? Because diabetes is a huge issue in this day and age, and a lot of people need to know where they're at with that. And it seems like that's something as a concerned employer should be part of the physical.
Is it Amy?
They can get blood work. It's optional. It's not mandatory. But if I don't know if they test for A1C. I think they test some of the sugar, but not, I don't know. It's never been asked for me to look into, so I don't know.
Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you ask them if they include the A1C in the blood test, what the cost would be? Okay, so next month, oops,
Yeah, I mean, they're scheduled already, so if there's a cost involved, do you want it to be included if it's below a certain amount, or Do you want to make it optional for people?
When are the physicals?
The 5th and the 8th. Or 6th and the 8th,
6th
so
and the
it's
8th.
before the next meeting.
Yeah.
Unless I put it out, but I just made 45 copies of all the paperwork.
If you could amend it, just like some of the other things we do, if they're going to test for A1C or anything else, have them put it through their private insurance first, and if need be, if it's not covered and they opt to have it, then we do it.
I don't think they'll bill their private insurance for it. I don't think they're set up to do that. Because all they do is occupational medicine, so it comes to us. It doesn't go to a private carrier.
Are we doing the same place in Brewerton?
And if it's inconsequential, could we decide informally,
Isn't there a requirement for firefighters, what needs to be tested?
Yes, and I don't think that's part of it.
I don't
Because
think
that's,
Okay, I think you just answered it.
but I think it just would be a benefit if we added it as an option for them to have it done. But
I get it, and we can throw in vision.
Well, the vision is
Eyeglasses and eyeglasses.
it's a basic read the chart vision test, but vision hearing is part of it.
I get it.
Basic.
I get it.
well, it might be too late for this year, but we could build it in.
To look at next year.
Insurance, Amy, you sent us an email about the insurance. You want to give us an overview of that?
We got notice that we probably will have an increase based on what they sent, and it was just a preliminary estimate. Once we file everything back, they give us a final quote. But just preliminary, it's about I think $6,000 increase. I don't have it with me. But the way they calculate losses, it's always a little bit behind. So the year that the chief's vehicle was totaled, we had damage to the truck, damage to the squad. I think we had 10 claims that year, small and a couple big ones. That's hitting our losses now. So, and just a basic rate change that is the increase. Tony is going to be here, Tony Blackwell from ASIP is going to be here next month to do our insurance review. But we should have the final quote before then, so you guys can look it over. I'm hoping we'll have it before then, and we'll just bring it that night. But it's just the way the losses hit and how that's all calculated when they figure out our rates, that it's going to be an increase. Not because they cut us back last year that they're trying to ding us this year, it's just the way the losses hit.
And Tony's coming at 7 o'clock for the meeting?
He can come at 7, he can come earlier if you want to start earlier, but I think last time he came at 7, he spent 15 or 20
I
minutes going
think
over
if
the
he comes
policy.
at 7, and we'll entertain him first and then let him be on his way.
Yeah.
If there's anything specific you guys have questions about or wanted to go over, just let me know so he can prepare for that. Otherwise, it'll just be a general review of the policy.
My understanding is one of the biggest questions right now is with the increased cost of apparatus, is the insuring of the apparatus. What's your rationale, how you go about doing it? He'll probably talk about that.
I think Tony can probably speak on it more, but I think some of them we looked at replacement cost instead of, because that would give us more than, or more coverage if something were to happen. Because now everything costs more to replace it than, like 11, for example, doesn't have a huge price tag on the insurance because it's an older vehicle, but to replace it now costs more. But then you're paying more in premium, so it's a balancing act of how you would do it, but Tony could probably explain that better. But yeah, I can let him know to talk about that.
Okay, so we'll have him first at our next meeting. Anything else from the commissioners?
Still in new business?
Yes.
Okay. In between from last month to this month, one of our part-timers, Tim Gleason, put me on to something up at SU, but I had a limited deadline. They take a college student that will do analysis of data. I had to apply early in the month, just got a response back that we can get a student to intern with us for this semester. I quickly wrote up an application to have it looked at. So what is the agency looking for? We're looking to identify and say memorialize the historic response to the community, somewhat along the lines of what KID has done. And to explore in detail how the community has changed through the years and the emergency services impact to the district over, say, the last 5 years. Potentially, how would we use this? First is, and there's a couple of agencies that do this. I see Charlie's notebook there. This could have a whole history of the department, and if somebody said, well, when did your population go from 5,000 to 10,000? It's right here. You can answer the public real quick. So you have your reference there and you're not searching down the road. The other thing that potentially, depending on the data that he's able to grab in this few months, would be able to give us a baseline to apply for grants. Every grant requires something different, but if you have some of the work done, because they're very time sensitive on when you have to get them out, it would be great. In the end, we hope this kid, remember he's doing a project here, so historic and current census data, which we all know this district has, blossomed very quickly. And if the possibility is there to look at it for 5 years back and where we are today, and what possibly, again, I've talked a little bit with Amy on this one, what we can extract on our past fire reports and potentially how our call volume has changed. As it's, if we used to do 80% was all car fires, but now there's no car fires. Whatever the data shows is what he's going to bring out. What will be in the end of this? I don't know. Again, I was able to quickly throw it through to meet like the real quick deadline. We did get approved. I guess I'm just asking if you guys mind if I work with this kid. Again, I don't know what's going to come at the end, if it's anything useful to us. The big thing, cost us nothing to have this kid do the work for us. So I'm willing to venture into it and if you ask any questions, I probably don't have the answers right now because I just got this the other day.
Coming out of the Maxwell School of Public Policy or?
Maxwell School of Citizenship and Public Affairs.
Yeah, same thing. What, change the name?
I mean, it seems like a win-win.
Yep. So, that's it.
So, do we need a motion to?
I mean, it moves so quick. If you guys tell me I can't do it, I gotta cancel my Zoom thing with him tomorrow. Because he sent me an email yesterday that, can I do it, so.
Well, why don't?
That's a good history.
Yeah, I talked with him about it. It's a real good win-win situation, so definitely something.
Well, why don't we say that authorize us to participate in the community link program.
Program.
Maxwell School.
You're making it really long. I mean, to work with this kid with a community link program and.
So I'll make that motion. Is there a second? Charlie. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else?
So, yeah.
have public comments.
A couple things. First, Mike sent you that email back, and I sent it to all the commissioners about statistics and putting it on the agenda, so we always have that information and where we're at. I know this is meant to be a different set of statistics, but or you might incorporate it, but do we have statistics for the last month?
Nope.
Of any kind?
I do.
Okay.
I do have them.
Yeah, those are when I get free time.
Huh?
So when I do the statistics, that's when I get free time.
Oh, I did them.
So,
We ran 103 calls last month. We had an average of 7. 87 calls were medical, 16 calls were fire. We were canceled 3 times by the ambulance. We had 5 calls where we had a responder but no medical, and 5 with no response at all.
And by comparison, how many did the paid staff do during the day?
We had 47 calls covered by paid staff.
I would ask that that be on an ongoing basis, put on the agenda, so that that's an ongoing set of information that's made public made aware to the public as part of the agenda and everything else. The other thing I have, as the secretary for the woodworkers, I received our insurance policy renewal a couple days ago. I opened it up and because I wanted to make sure there wasn't a bill in it, and there was a form in there that as a business, quote unquote business, we are supposed to fill out and provide to our fire chief, to providing a list of all of our hazardous materials that we have. And I guess I would ask the question, does the district have an ongoing collection of these that have been provided by all the businesses so that that information it can be populated for any of the business addresses? I was surprised to see it and shocked to see it. It came from OFPF, Homeland Security or whatever. And I was absolutely shocked to find that in the envelope with our insurance policy renewal.
Yeah, I get one every year with my farm insurance. You know, they want to know what the stuff is and what the stuff isn't. And for many years, we have been receiving those from
You have a binder of all those?
many businesses. We got folders and folders of it.
Are these to be incorporated in the pre-plans, or what
That's
happens
exactly
with
where
these?
it'll go. Yep.
Okay.
That's a big project for this summer anyways, or not even the summer, it's gonna start in the spring with the paid staffing, and I actually have an officer assigned to it, and they are going to be putting this together for every commercial property and apartment complex within the district, and it's all gonna go and be uploaded onto the CAD system through whatever means we end up using.
I can assure you I'm not going to give you one for the woodworkers extension of work.
We'll be coming down knocking for it.
Yeah, you can come down for your wood.
And I think that was alluded to last night at our Central Region meeting where they talked about the 1910, what are the numbers after the 1910? About the proposed revisions and the hardship that will be caused by the proposed requirements for volunteer fire departments. The state associations are watching that very closely, but there's a new revision out, and I think there's a 90-day comment period, and there's things in there that, and Dave Deniston, Second Vice President of the State Association, is very familiar with this stuff, and he said, you know, it's going to be a real detriment to volunteer fire departments and fire districts, and they're going to be looking for comments from us and from, you know, about, you know, what's it going to mean to us? Because we're going to have to do more complicated pre-plans, because we're going to have to do more things and do all the paperwork. Does it mean that we're going to have to hire staff, a full-time person to do this job, and it's going to cost us $30,000 or $40,000 a year? They want that kind of comment. So we'll have more input and more idea about what they're looking for from us, because I asked for a list. Now, this is a 600-page document. I just asked for a list of the, like the top 10 things that are going to affect the volunteers in New York State that we can comment on. So more to come on that.
So I just have, since Mike Malone is back, you weren't here, you can watch it on PACs, but I'll give you the lowdown of what you missed. The new doors obviously are installed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your 2 years of time and commitment that you have put into the commission, the department, and helping out. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I guess we can have a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
That's just it. Second, Diane, we are adjourned at